How's it going, YouTube? You are listening to another episode of Behind the Wall, presented by Perky Jerky. I am Kane Jr. 88, and as always, I am joined by my two cellmates, Thermite 917 and Parobo 43. And this month, we're reviewing 5 different races. We had a busy month for the month of September, including the start of the Monster Energy Cup Series playoffs. And to get things rolling with our review of Darlington, let's take it over to Tyler. Take it away.
Thank you, Kane. And obviously we had a Darlington-only episode, so I won't be saying too much about that. But just to recap, the Bojangles Southern 500 got an 8 out of 10. Obviously, Throwback Weekend is fantastic. Solid little race. Sure, it was dumbed down by the 2019 rules package, which what race isn't really. Eric Jones won, so it was great to see a new winner. Just a solid overall event. We were satisfied with it. But then we move on to Indianapolis, which was the final race of the regular season.
Yes, sir. The Big Machine Vodka 400 at the Brickyard. Say that 10 times fast. Pretty decent race for Indy standards. Not as crazy as the 2017 race, but it gets a 6 out of 10 from us. Some pretty hard crashes in this one from Landon Castle, Eric Jones, and especially Brad Keselowski, who just demolished the inside wall tire barrier. And Kevin Harvick, he picks up his 3rd win of the season. So we'll move on to the first race in the round of 16 in the playoffs, and that is at Las Vegas. Nick?
Yes, Kane, that one gets an 8 out of 10, surprisingly. Usually you think of Las Vegas or a mile and a half of this package, it's kind of hit and miss. This one was actually a bit of a hit because handling was a factor. There were plenty of comers and goers. Joey Logano actually led the most laps at just over 100. There were only a handful of cautions, but some playoff drivers had issues, including Kurt Busch and Eric Jones. It just felt like a classic mile and a half. There were plenty of green flag runs, but it was still entertaining to an extent, so we'll take it given how this season has gone. Kyle Busch also had some issues. We'll get to him later. But Martin Truex Jr. won the first round of the playoffs handedly. So we move on to the next round of Richmond. Take it away.
Oh, the Federated Auto Parts 400. It gets a 4.5 out of 10. Richmond has been extremely weak in the Gen 6 era of NASCAR racing, and this race was no different, really. The spring race actually got a 6 out of 10, was a decent overall little race. This race was kind of shaping up to be somewhat similar to that. However, the second half was incredibly dull and just seemed like not a whole lot was happening. We were begging for this race to end. There was only 3 overall leaders on the night. It just wasn't that exciting. And Martin Truex Jr. had a little battle with Kyle Busch. He ended up getting the win, but still, it was an extreme disappointment for a playoff race, very similar to the playoff race from last year. Richmond did not excel. We move on to the final race of the round of 16, and that is the Roval.
Yes, the Bank of America Roval 400 at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the second race at the Roval, and it wasn't as good as the very first race at the Roval. It was definitely a good race results-wise. Chase Elliott got the win, his 3rd of the season, but really the story of this race was the officiating by NASCAR. Oh my God, we'll get to that later, but let's just say it was absolute bullshit, to say the least. And despite all that, we still gave the race an 8 out of 10, so that's 3 races this month that all tied with an 8 out of 10. So that covers it for the month of September.
Yeah. Yahoo! Salty September.
Oh my God.
Wake me up when September ends.
It's about to, so I'll wake you up tomorrow morning.
Okay. Whoa.
Whoa, easy now.
Make me wobble.
Whoa.
Buy him breakfast first, Kane. Jeez. Alright, it's time to hand out some awards for the month of September, and leading it off with the classic Boner of the Month. And believe me, this boner is quite interesting. It wasn't even for something that happened on the track, and quite frankly, it's very Nick-like. I could definitely see you doing this, so why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, I was going to say that if you didn't. A fan, during the pre-race, fell onto Eric Almirola's car. He landed right on the rear bumper. Now, yeah, I fall a lot, but I think I would at least try to be careful enough to not fall on an expensive race car before a prestigious race. right before the playoffs. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I think he was just balancing on the pit wall or something and lost his balance. That's like the dumbest thing to happen pre-race since Michael Waltrip dropped the taco on Denny Hamlin's car.
Hey, Denny Hamlin, Michael Waltrip, Fox Sports on TV. Do you want a taco?
He spilled it on the car. That's great.
Oh, it's all over the car.
They work on
Now what are you going to do?
on a paint job all
That's
week.
real. Can I still get around home?
I don't know if it cursed Almirola's car. He finished 14th, which is where he finishes every week, but it's still a Bona move. God, next award.
The next award is the Round from Hell, and that goes to Eric Jones, who is a round 1 exit. You know what? His month realistically wasn't that good after winning Darlington. He got in that huge crash in Indianapolis, obviously DNF there and finished 39th, but it got kicked off in the playoffs in the worst imaginable way. He ended up having mechanical problems at Las Vegas, had to go behind the wall, pun completely intended right there. He lost 13 laps, ended up having to finish in 36th. He went to Richmond, he's in a huge hole, and he rebounded with a nice solid 4th place finish. No, he didn't, because he got disqualified. Oh man, sucks to suck. Gets a dead last finish as 38th. So now he's in a complete must-win situation. He's going to the Roval, and he's not particularly hot on the road courses, and well, he ended up finishing dead last. Granted, it was something not of his own doing. He got involved in one of the melees at the beginning of the race and ended up puncturing a hole in the radiator, retiring after 23 laps. Holy hell. I thought Kurt Busch had a really bad round 1, but Eric Jones definitely was the worst of them all. At least you got that contract extension. See you in 2020, Eric. Next award.
All right, the next award is the
Straight Jacket Award!
And it goes to the World of Westgate 200, the Las Vegas Truck Series race, the last race in the round of 8. And oh my God, holy engine failures, Batman, because 3 of the 4 Thor Sport racing trucks all blew their motors. Grant Enfinger, Johnny Sauter, and Matt Crafton all blew up, with Enfinger and Sauter getting knocked out of the playoffs as a result. In fact, Sauter and Crafton actually blew up at the exact same time! How the hell does that even happen? Well, turns out Ilmore, the engine supplier for all the Truck Series teams, they had to release a statement saying it was the freaking desert heat that caused all these engines to blow up. Really? You couldn't have built a more durable race engine for high temperature? Seriously? Ilmore, you must be freaking crazy to allow something like this to happen.
It was so freaking crazy that ThorSport had to even petition NASCAR to let them back into the playoffs. Obviously, that was denied, but damn, get your engines together.
Are they ill? Are they more ill?
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, that's not the only one we're giving out this month.
The next
Straight Jacket Award!
goes to NASCAR during the Roval. They were freaking crazy with their officiating. You can ask Tyler about that. This was about like Bowman Gray Stadium. They just had their heads up their asses making stupid rules, pretty much ruining the entire flow of the end of the race. First of all, we got to talk about the chicane penalties. Like, yeah, I know if you miss the chicane in game time, you should get penalized. It's an unfair advantage. But they didn't care why you missed the chicane. They were penalizing guys no matter what. If they were trying to avoid wrecks, if they were in wrecks, if they were going on the other side of the turtles, which thank you Corey LaJoie for making one more exciting looking, then they got penalized. They either had to stop in the penalty box on the front stretch if they missed the backstretch one, which I don't know why they couldn't just stop on the backstretch since they're already over there, or if they missed the front stretch chicane, they had to stop by the start-finish line near the infield. That was the first stupid thing because it cost a lot of drivers time, including Martin Truex Jr. among others. The next stupid thing that they were doing all weekend, but it was the most prominent in the Cup race, was throwing yellows for no reason. I don't know if it was because there were all these spins on the oval portion of the track where they couldn't throw local yellows, or because the speeds were too high for them. Well, that's BS because Watkins Glen speeds are high too. and they can do local yellows. But there were so many cautions for single car spins. Ryan Preece, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Daniel Hemrick. Daniel Suarez even had a spin and went like in the middle of nowhere, like in the cornfields of Charlotte, and they still threw a caution after he kind of stalled it out there, but no one was even going to come close to hitting him anyway. It was just all this stuff that wasted so many laps. It even led to a red flag because during one of the cautions, someone laid oil down and they had to put Speedy Dry on the track. It just turned into a total, as Kane would say, she-show. But ultimately, I just accepted that it was going to be stupid, and I learned to enjoy it because it was hilarious. So who the hell knows what was going to happen if they didn't throw all those cautions. Chase probably still would have got up there, but insanely impressive to see him come all the way from the back to the front to win. All these cautions just capped off the insanity of the weekend, so I guess it's fitting in a way. Whatever. We move on to the cigars. We have a bunch of them, so take it away, Tyler.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, we got to talk about some positive stuff now after that horrendousness. So let's give out 2 cigars for the only truck race of the month, which is a crime, but whatever. Austin Hill, he won a race. That's his 3rd of the year. You know, he kind of had a little up and down kind of season, but he really put together a full showing, and that was a good job by those guys. He might be a championship threat if he keeps that shit up. Final truck cigar goes to Christian Eckes, who got a 3rd place finish in that race. And it's mainly because of the fact that he outran the 4 and 18 trucks. And that seems like that's the case anytime the 51 runs. Like, put Chandler Smith in there.
Greg Biffle.
Yes! Greg freaking Biffle! Hadn't run a damn race in 3 years. And he comes back in there, he won. Anybody else, it don't matter. It just proves the point that those young kids cannot get it done in the 4 and the 18, but that's just a broken record at this point. Either way, it's still fun to point out. So, great run by Christian there. Move on to the Xfinity Series, and got to give one to Tyler Reddick for his great strategy in the Vegas race in order to beat Christopher Bell. That was one of the most boring races I've ever seen in my life, and thankfully something happened at the end. A fuel strategy race, which is incredibly rare in this day and age, especially in Xfinity, so great to see. He tamed the beast with his little fuel. We move on to the Roval. AJ Allmendinger! Dinger! He won! Holy shit! And he passed tech inspection. After failing it in 2 earlier races in his schedule, he got it done, just executed perfectly. So great, you know, AJ, we didn't think he was going to ever win at anything again, and he did. I was there to see it, so I had fun cheering him on.
I think it's Gray Golding. You finished Gray! Allmendinger, bitch!
Let's have a nice ovation for A.J. Allmendinger, who's won it.
We got to give a cigar to Noah Gragson, too, who finished 5th on the Roval. It's a decent little result. We see Noah have good runs all year long, but he crashed in practice, and he had to start at the rear. He even nearly missed qualifying because he blew a tire on the interstate right before qualifying was set to begin. Luckily, he got there, but it just was not shaping up to be a good weekend for him, and he made something out of it, so we always appreciate that. And the final Xfinity cigar goes to Alex LeBay. He was full-time last year, and that really didn't work out too well. He did actually get a cigar at the Roval for his run last year. He gets one again for finishing in 6th in the 90 car for DGM Racing, and just a real solid race throughout the entirety of it. I swear I don't think he was even any higher or lower than 6th. We've seen Andy Lally rock it on the road courses in that ride too. Alex LeBay did the exact same thing. We appreciate that. Good run. And we'll move on to the Cup cigars. Kane, take it away.
All right, our first Cup cigar goes to Bubba Wallace, who ran 3rd at Indianapolis. I believe that is just his 2nd ever top 5 finish, his 1st since the 2018 Daytona 500 when he finished 2nd. Considering that Richard Petty Motorsports rarely ever finishes in the top 5, this is kind of a miracle. So congratulations to Bubba. Next Cup cigar goes to MTJ, Martin Truex Jr., who became just the 4th driver ever to win the opening 2 races of the Chase/playoffs. He won at Vegas. In Richmond, he actually got spun out by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. while in the race lead, but he only fell back to 3rd, and he was able to put on some new tires, and he was able to get around both Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch to regain the lead and the win. Congratulations to MTJ. He's obviously got the most momentum now heading into the round of 12 and is probably overtaking Kyle Busch as the favorite to win the championships. So now we move on to the Roval, and let's go live to Dawsonville, Georgia, where there seems to be some sort of commotion right now. Yeah, that's right. The siren went off again for Chase Elliott. His third win of the season, his third win at a road course, and his sixth win of his career. And it didn't look very likely either, because on the restart in stage 3, Chase was leading, and then he locked up the brakes and slid it right into the goddamn Tom's heartburn turn tire barrier. Just like the late race restart last year when Brad Keselowski had the exact same problem and took pretty much everybody else with him, only this time Chase did it all by himself. But fortunately for Chase, he didn't damage the car very heavily. He was able to get it reversed quickly, slap some new tires on there, make his way back up through the field from 37th, managed to get by Kevin Harvick with 5 laps to go, and he ended up pulling off the win. Holy crap, what a comeback. And I don't know about you guys, but I think the best part of it all was Tyler was actually there to see it live and in person, so he was probably frickin' partying his ass off and getting drunk while doing it. So congratulations to Chase, and you know what the hell, congratulations, Tyler, you finally saw your favorite win a race.
Hell yeah, thank you, Cam. Glad for the mention. I'll throw in a video here. I was going crazy. Elliott, bitch!
Hell yes! Anyways, moving on to our final cigar. Chase wasn't the only driver to have an epic comeback at Roval. That other one was his teammate, Alex Bowman, who was absolutely having a weekend from hell when he wrecked his primary car in practice and in happy hour. He had qualified second, but as a result of having to go to the backup car, he had to drop to the rear. And then on lap 1, going into the backstretch chicane, he locked up the brakes and spun out in the middle of the pack. Not only that, he ended up missing the chicane as a result, so NASCAR penalized him in addition to having to stop to repair the damage. Fortunately, though, he did not fall a lap down because the Roval is a big old long-ass road course. So it looked like he wasn't even going to make it out of the round of 16 because he was several points below the cutoff line. But then, thanks to some bad luck for Ryan Newman and Eric Almirola and Bowman working his way all the way up to second place at the checkered flag, he was able to advance to the round of 12 by just the skin of his teeth. Yeah, Bowman finally capped his bottle and turned what was going to be a weekend from hell into a miracle. Congratulations, Alex Bowman. And we got one final award to give out. We had it last month. We had it for Darlington. Nick, what is it?
Oh, Kane. I'm already tired because I know what's coming. It's the crying towel. And once again, it goes to Kyle Busch. Oh, no, not again. I can't take it anymore, Kyle. This was for Las Vegas. Early in the race, and I mean really early, he brushed the wall and went 2 laps down. It was probably the best thing that could happen, but at the same time you're like, oh man, maybe he'll make a miraculous comeback or something. And he actually made up his laps and was coming back to the lead lap. And late in the race he had problems getting around Garrett Smithley of all people. He kind of parked it into turn 1, but Kyle couldn't figure out his way around him, and oh no, he slammed right into him. Kyle, no!
5 back, Larson for position.
I don't give a Tony. Go home. I'm going to blow my front tire here in a second. You'll have a caution. I'll do whatever the we can do after that.
Oh, that's so devastating, isn't it, Kyle? He was obviously not happy in true Kyle Busch fashion.
Was told he was going to go high, thought he was going to go high. He went middle because thought he was going to go high. Should have run 4th probably, but instead 19th. I don't know what. We're the top echelon of motorsports, and we got guys that have never won late model races running out here on the racetrack. It's pathetic. They don't know where to go. So, what else do you do? Pathetic to have to lean on insurance. My premiums are going to go up.
Yeah, that's right. You do need insurance, Kyle. You need Nation Wine. Like a good wine of your bitch ass is there. Oh, Kyle. I'm done. I can't take it anymore.
Oh, Kyle!
Baby! Oh, I just love the whole aftermath of that thing, and Joey Gase chimed in, and Garrett Smithley, they're all providing pictures of themselves winning late model races from years ago. Just really feeding Kyle some of his medicine. And I mean, there was so many people with good points. And one of the best ones is the fact that, like, if you run into somebody on the interstate, whose fault is it? It's your fault. And that's exactly what happened here. He ran into Garrett Smithley. Garrett Smithley didn't move. He can say all he wants to say about his spotter telling him where he thought Garrett was going to run. Well, guess what? You saw what he did. He didn't move. He was in the middle lane. You ran right into him, Kyle. End of story.
I mean,
take some blame.
And you saw William Byron and Alex Bowman were able to easily get by Garrett Smithley, so Kyle should have been able to do the same thing. Oh, no. Oh, my God, Kyle. You're going to whine so much. Why don't you go and pour yourself a glass of wine and watch Racing Wines with Samantha? Oh, my God.
Oh, God. Please be canceled after season 1, bitch. That was great. Perfect entertainment for the month. But you know what? There's still something we need to mention. And this one happened at the Roval. Nick, I want you to fill us in on this too.
And we have one more extension of the crying towel. We'll call it a wet nap again, as we've kind of called it before. But this one goes to Alex Bowman and Bubba Wallace, because they got into each other a few times out there, including lap 1. They made some contact later in the race. Apparently, Bubba Wallace was flipping off Bowman every straightaway he had a chance to.
Caution right now. That little in front of me doesn't put his finger away. We're going to get one. Just wreck this. Fix this race car and we'll handle this today. Only flipped me off so many times a lap for not doing anything. Bubba has enough trouble getting around this place with both hands on the wheel. You know what I mean?
That kind of resolved it there until after the race, where Bowman was sitting on the ground next to his car because him and several other drivers were really dehydrated because the conditions were just brutal out there. It was in the 90s. And in a way, this helped Bowman because Bubba splashed water right in his face. Now, that was just so not classy by Bubba, but at the same time, you can't help but laugh because Bowman was kind of an ass out there, too. I don't know. It's just, they're both going at it like old married couples out there. Just let it go. I don't know if they will, because Bowman sounds like he's just had it with Bubba. Bubba has had it with Bowman. Too many B names right there. I just settled it, man. Ah.
I think we're done with awards. So.
Yeah.
All right, it's time to take a look at the best paint scheme for the month of September, so enjoy the montage. And we do actually have one honorable mention that is definitely good enough to be in the best paint schemes of the month, but I felt like we needed to talk about this car because it's Alex Bowman's nationwide little retirement plans car. You know, they could have cheaped out on this and done like a little extension of the text on the regular nationwide paint scheme, or done that really awful split one that they had for like the nationwide pets earlier in the year. But they didn't do that. They had a completely different paint scheme, which gave me a little bit of shades of Jimmy Johnson's 2017 base. It was just well executed, and this car easily could have been the primary for Nationwide for this year. And I don't know why it wasn't. The design team for Hendrick didn't suck that time. Wow.
My God.
It's a miracle. To go off of that, we actually have no worst paint schemes of the month. Is hell freezing over?
Getting chilly in here.
It is.
See, Nick's in hell. He already knows.
I'm talking to you guys, so I must be.
Oh, okay. Fine. We're going to talk about shade here.
I apologize.
You're damn right you do. And because we're talking about paint schemes here, Nick, and you want to go ahead and be an asshole like that. But you know, whatever. We're going to gloss over it. And I can't believe it. It's really just been a solid month for paint schemes. Darlington had its own, and that's its own thing. But that's just crazy. I'm proud of the teams, really. Other than that, let's move the hell on.
All right, it is time to recap the fantasy results for the month of September. Damani won at Darlington. We already recapped that in that last episode. He picked Kyle Busch, who finished in third. And then he also won again at Indianapolis when he picked Joey Logano. Logano finished second. All right, moving on to Las Vegas. Nick ended up picking up the win there. He picked Kevin Harvick, who finished second. And then I ended up winning at Richmond when I picked the race winner, Martin Truex Jr., and finally, I win again at the Roval after I picked Chase Elliott. And with that, we have a standings recap. So I have the lead with 1,167 points. Damani is second. He is 49 points back. Yeah. Nick is third, 53 back. And Tyler is bringing up the rear in fourth, 56 points back. So now we move on to Dover. That's right, the Monster Mile. And Damani, our regular season champion, you are picking first. Who are you taking?
Horse shit!
Thank you very much, Damani. Nick, you're next. Who are you taking?
I'm going with Martin Truex Jr. Yeah, he's one of the hottest drivers in the playoffs right now. Won back-to-back to start it. Finished good in the Roval. He's won at Dover a couple times. He's just going to get it done. It's a Truex kind of track. Bass Pro Shops. Tyler, who you taking?
Thank you, Nick. I'm going to go ahead and take Chase Elliott.
Just a big, hairy American winning machine.
That's right. He's won at Dover. He's won at every racetrack in the round of 12. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. You know, Nick, if you'd stop laughing, I could really talk about Chase Elliott some more. But I'm looking forward to it. He knows how to get it done. That definitely wasn't a Napa plug or anything. I'm thinking Big Dick Chase. He gets a double. And what are you going to do about it? Nothing. Kane, yeah, you're like the last up on fantasy. Why don't you tell us who you're going to take for Dover? You know, the Monster Mile. Maybe Miles.
Well, he's a former winner at Dover, and he always seems to come through in the middle rounds of the playoffs. I am going to take Kevin Harvick. 4. He's won the playoff race at Dover before as a must-win situation, so I know he can win there. He can win at Dover.
Well, that does it for another sloppy episode of Behind the Wall, presented by Perky Jerky. Hell, we're so sloppy, and after over 100 episodes, I don't even know why you would be listening at this point. But we have some people we'd like to thank before we go. Damani HT. He's not a regular guest, or a guest at all. He's just a guy who participates in fantasy and nothing else. For Kane Jr. 88, he's a valued member here. He takes care of fantasy, and if your wife comes around, he'll take care of her too. For Thermite 917, he recently started a new job, wrapping cars down at Chicago Wrap. If you're in the Chicago area, make sure you don't stop by there, because Nick will probably fall into your car, dent it in some sort of fashion. I'm assuming that's where the Air Camarola machine got damaged in Indianapolis. I know I already made a crack about that, but Jesus, he is one clumsy son of a bitch, and that's probably what happened there.
Cut his finger off in the process.
Yeah, that probably that too. You know, whatever. He'll be wrapping a car.
Talk about that.
Jesus, Nick, stop it. Like, don't try to justify anything. You'll end up wrapping your finger in somebody's car, and your finger is just gonna be there. Whatever. For myself, Pro Bowl 43 had a hell of a weekend at the Roval. I can't say enough about that. What a great event. And I'm glad I got to do the outro here to shit on my friends. So, other than that, that's been another episode. So, you've been Behind the Wall. Thank you for listening.
You've been Behind the Wall.
Listen, they already know. by the way, did you hear that big noise outside?
No.
Okay.
Whatever. We move on to the cigars. We have a bunch of them. Take it away. Is it Tyler?
Yes.
Tyler.
What an awkward ass intro. Like, take it away.
Take it away, Tyler, you son of a bitch. That kind of ended stupidly, but just add to that if you want.
All right. Well, can't bite a burger better than a Bubba Burger Bowman Gray. I don't know.
That was much better.
No, it wasn't.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I gotta go to bed.
I know. I'll hurry up.
It's already 10 o'clock here, yeah. 11 o'clock Eastern.
Ain't stop talking so I can start it.
10 o'clock my time, too. Yeah, I just live down the street.
Next stop talking. Shut up!
I can see your house from here. Hi, Kane.
What are you guys doing over there? Are you exchanging fruit?
We're talking with those phones on, like the cups on the string.
Oh, God.
Oh, jeez.
I'm going to come over there and steal your Dixie cups for my water cooler.
Technology's come a long way.
No, it hasn't.
Have some mayo chip.
Don't mention that.
Saucy sauce.
Saucy sauce. Who the fuck calls it that? I can totally see you hosting a dinner party, and it's just so cringy. Like you want to fit in. And you're like, hey everybody, want some saucy sauce?
Yeah.
I would throw the bowl of chips at you if you said that to me.
Yeah.
And you fully deserve it.
Bowman.
Showman.
I'm cringing right now. Don't do this.
I love you guys.
Nick, you burned the bridge.
I actually just fell off a bridge, so.
Of course you did. Nick, don't try to cross the bridge. You already burned it. Funny.
I can just imagine myself like getting an antique marinara jar and like just deciding to open it on a bridge in celebration and just like falling off of it. Like just me and the jar. You
and the jar. You're one with the jar. You'll end up having the damn glass shards in your asshole once you hit the ground.
Yeah. Alright, fantasy.
Fantasy.
Wow.
Alright, let's move on.
Nick just says, yeah, in agreement. Like he knows. He understands and accepts the situation of the marinara jar inevitably ending in his intestines. What?
It's the final phase of grieving or something like that. What is it? Of the grieving process.
Countdown.
Okay, that's an overrated Europe song. What the heck? Was that a weak banjo? It's a beach banjo.
It sounded like a damn banjo, yeah.
Fantasy.
Okay.
Nick's really pushing the envelope here. All right, Kane, go ahead.
Yeah. Damani, you actually have to... Actually, who goes first, Nick or Damani?
Damani.
You can still keep the same order, but obviously Damani will get the last pick.
Yeah.
And by the way, didn't Damani win the regular season title? You should have said something about that.
Damani won the regular season title, so you
yes, he
probably
did.
said something about that. You know,
pick whatever.
Regular season
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay! Jesus Christ.
Nick, you mumbling. Shut up. Go play the banjo.
Right. Yeah, as long as we do my pick.
Nick?
Bass Pro Shops, 5 Hour Energy.
5 Hour Energy doesn't sponsor him anymore.
Now you look like an ass.
Tyler, who are you taking? Tyler.
Dude, you sound like a pedophile.
He can't. Oh, he does. Oh my God. We've lost the podcast. He knows what it's like to, to dig deep to take over or take down Miles the Monster.
Holy shit!
I stumbled that one there. Holy shit! Goddamn second.
Podcast is totally gone. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
That was like the sloppiest fantasy segment we could ever have. Holy shit.
Holy shit. Oh, Jakes, you owe me a soda.
See that? Yeah.
But I was bad to the bone. Bad to the bone. Bad to the bone. Bad.